only fantasy. His number too high, then I'm probably fading him. He been on the road, he gon' eat up my salary. I hit up by, he gon' lie before lock. Play back to back, then I probably won't pick on the DFS bachelor, good as it gets. Build a few liners and hit me a leg. He had a good game, but it might be a trick. Log in the Slack so I know who to pick. Sharing our liners, we all gon' get rich. New to this game, you should come to the pad. You might want some cash and get a good laugh. DFS sports, we gon' run up a bag. He heard every game and it's making me mad. You buying your lineups, I think you a cheater. DFS bachelor, he the new leader. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to... Oh, I hit the wrong button. Welcome back to the Bachelor Pad. I, of course, am your host of DFS Bachelor, and there is Mike. Now I have him on the screen. So many scenes to go through here. I was like, where the hell did he go?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We're going to go over the League of Legends. LPL LCK slate for... Well, I guess technically it's April 3rd. It starts 11 o'clock my time tonight. So for April 3rd, 6-game slate. Good night last night for me. A lot of people seem to enjoy the video, so I really appreciate that. First things first, I want to thank all of you for all your support, all your kind words, the comments, the likes, etc. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, welcome to the team. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, get access to all of our content. I will still have EMBA Sim Sports done, of course. Eventually, when the clouds part and we have sports back, all of our content will continue as usual. So hit subscribe. I truly appreciate that. Also, by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment in the comment section, you qualify for our weekly $25 PayPal giveaway. And our guy who won the Twitter contest has not hit me up yet to get his PayPal from yesterday. At Austin Asplin. I'm going to give you one more. I normally would not name the winner 2 days in a row. You normally have to watch. So, at Austin Asplin, hit me up. Get your $25. I appreciate all that. Also, we do have a cheat sheet for League of Legends on Draft Dashboard. I also have my player pool for all the eSports players. For the eSims on FanDuel, the free simulations. You can click that link in the video description below, and you can try that right now for 30 days for $1. Okay, enough house cleaning. Oh, the garbage man. Me and the garbage man have beef. Me and our garbage man. We do not get along.
Why?
He keeps going around. He keeps charging people for extra garbage, and he did it to me a few times, and I'm like, dude, I don't have extra garbage ever. It's just me and my son. We have 2 people that live here. And he tried to double down, and I almost pulled him out of his truck. I said some really, really horrible things to him. Then he started doing it to the old lady across the street, and my mom lives like 5 houses down and did it to her. So now I go, usually when he's driving by, I go out and take pictures of it, and I yell at him, "Is that extra trash, you idiot?" I just want him to get out one time. I hate me. We have beef. Me and the garbage man have beef, man.
You're like a big angry dog.
Yeah, exactly. So how'd your night go last night, man?
Well, yesterday was my dad's birthday, so I was preoccupied with family dinner and stuff like that.
Happy birthday to the dad.
The April Fool himself. So I built my lineups a little later last night than I usually do, and that's the reason that I'm blaming for playing so much Billy gaming.
Right.
I thought that they would be contrarian and I would look smart, but yeah, I saw something yesterday on Twitter. There's this guy that's out there posting like graphs and stuff. I know that somebody else mentioned him before, and like he's really responsive. So if there's any kind of like data visualization you want, let me actually try to find him just to give him a shout out. Because I told him like, hey, you might want to do something like this, and then like an hour later, like he released a chart that showed the average amount of Draftkings points scored in losses.
Oh, maybe we got to get him on. Maybe we got to put him on the show.
Maybe
if he's got a beautiful mind. Yeah.
At sports_proj PROJ. He's starting to put out these things like average points for and against in teams, wins and losses, respectively for each team.
Love
and
that.
When I was looking at that yesterday, I saw the team that Billy Gaming was playing against gives up a decent amount of points in general when they lose.
Right.
But they won. So
yes, they did.
That happened.
Yes, they did. I had a decent night. Sunning, even though they lost, they put up a ton of points. I had plenty of top esports, and it went good for me last night. Your advice. We're learning the game now. Now I'm starting to feel a lot more comfortable with everything. Yeah. So I think today's video will be a little bit quicker than yesterday's as well.
Okay.
Because we don't have to be as talk about every little aspect of it. And of course, you can ask questions in the comment section at Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at DFS Bachelor, at League of Items. Should we just start? Game 1?
Sure.
Get after it? So our first game is EDG versus DMO. DMO, of course, was the big money maker the other night. Last night, by the way, that was a really high scoring night, right? Am I crazy that 870?
It was extremely high scoring.
That's really high scoring.
You look at World Elite and you look at Top Esports. Both of them had players who scored right around 200 points, and on most nights, the highest score for the captain slot will be between 130 to 150.
Right.
So this was an extremely high scoring night, and like we were talking about yesterday with Fodic. Like, he's afraid of losing his spot to Jackie Love, and he went out and
that's right.
put up a ton of points yesterday.
Playing with some passion. I like that. Mr. Fodic, good job. That's pretty funny. Yeah, if you'd have told me, like, I made 5 lineups and 3 over 700, if you'd have told me that, I would have told you I was making a shit ton of money, but
yeah. That's the kind of thing where it always drives home the point, like, we're not out there trying to score points, we're out there trying to score more points than other people.
Right.
So it's always something to keep in the back of your mind. That's why there's so much value in being contrarian.
Yeah. I would say last night, overall, just the average scores, the points was my best night so far in the 2 weeks that I've been going. So that's good.
And at the same time, I think it's also important to, when people are analyzing their own lineups, don't always focus on whether you won or lost money, because you can put out a good lineup that had a chance to win and it just didn't go your way. It doesn't mean that you put together a bad lineup. It just means that the variance wasn't on your side. Right.
This is DFS. Like, you're going to lose at DFS, and you're going to have great lineups and great plays that go wrong. You know, you're going to have the Anthony Davis headed to the locker room type situation after,
Exactly. Somebody got pulled last night, actually, in eSports.
Oh.
I saw somebody mention that.
There you go.
One of the supports, same exact situation.
Oh, yeah. No, that's the guy who I got the 0 from because I didn't pay attention, and so they moved in the other guy who was like 3,800, and I was already asleep. Actually, I was either doing that or figuring out why the world hates Carol Baskin so much. So
Carol Baskin,
the Tiger King. I'm watching the Tiger King.
Okay.
It's just, I see it everywhere, so I have to know I'm only halfway through. I won't give any spoilers, but let's just say, we're on that hating that bitch Carol Baskin as well. Carol Baskin's a horrible, horrible bitch. That's all I have to say. Screw you, Carol Baskin. All right, let's jump into it. Our first game. EDG DMO. So EDG is the underdog? No, the EDG is the underdog, is the favorite. DMO is the heavy underdog. Right?
Yeah, EDG is one of the best teams in China. They're definitely better than Dominus Gaming. Everybody's going to think to themselves that Dominus has a better chance to win than they do in reality because they beat LNG last time.
Right.
But if you look at their game log, the only times that they've been competitive in matches is against teams that aren't very good.
Right.
Like, they beat LGD. LGD is, in my opinion, a good team. I like them. They disappointed me again yesterday, but they still have the core of a good team. They beat Rogue Warriors, who's not a very good team, but they played well yesterday. And then LNG Esports, it was a little overrated going into the last match.
Right.
So,
and is EDG on the blue side? They're picking first?
Yeah, EDG is blue side.
So that's a big advantage for an already big favorite, right?
Yeah, and EDG is minus 526. Let me get the percentage for that.
Damn. Well, now I kind of want to put some money on DMO just because anytime I get odds plus 5 or 600, I'm in. Especially if I can live bet it. Can we live bet this?
No, like I was saying, if we could live bet, it would be amazing.
Oh, God.
So EDG has a 84% chance to win.
Right.
Per set.
Right. So guys like Hope and the Cat, he's 12-3, so you have to get creative. I do think there's underdogs and teams on here where you can get some salary relief. We'll kind of mess around with that a little bit later. But so Hope in the captain spot is not a problem, even though, Hope's Aote, right? Or do you want Scout? Who's starting?
AOD is the top laner. He should be starting. Scout should also be starting in the mid lane.
So who would we want in the captain spot here? If you're looking, like, who would your favorite captains be? Plays from this game, basically.
So one thing to keep in mind is that Dominus, they want to put Gala in a position to succeed during the early and mid game, which is a little different than most teams. Most teams play around their mid laner in the beginning of the game, and then once they start grouping up in teams, it transitions into a AD carry focused game.
Okay.
But Dominus often puts their mid laner, Shie, I think he's starting tonight.
Yep.
Let me just check. Yeah, he is starting tonight. So Shie is a Kassadin player, which is a certain type of champion in League of Legends that takes a long time to get good. But once he gets to a certain threshold, he's probably going to be the most important champion in that specific game. So I would say if they go that direction against EDG, it's unlikely that it's going to get there because EDG is good enough to punish them in the early game and make sure that their late game carry doesn't activate. So I think I'm not sure how that would impact everything. So that might make it a more low score game.
Right.
And
when I just look at Aote, just his face, I'm like, that kid can play video games. You know what I mean?
Honestly, it's funny that you say that because like if you look at most of the good players in the world, they don't look like huge obese and like fat and stuff. Like I don't know, I've never seen this guy in real life, but his face is really fat.
Yeah, chubby.
That would make me want to play him less.
Really? Make you play him? I'm thinking this is all he does. That he's committed. He's like Cartman. He's just like, Mom, bring me my food. I'm not moving. You know?
I mean, I get that. That's the stereotype. But you look at guys like Faker. Faker is a really skinny kid. Deft is a skinny kid. Yeah. Most of these guys are relatively skinny.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, Audi, I haven't liked him that much in general so far, just from his play style.
Right.
But I was watching one of the previous matches, and they were saying he's really young. I think he just turned 18, and people are expecting him to become one of the best top laners in China. So that's high praise because China is one of the best leagues in the world, and the specific playstyle for China means that he's probably capable of playing carry champions, which means that there's like just another avenue to win the game. Right. So I think I haven't liked him in general, but if they keep giving salary savings for him compared to other top laners, I think I'm going to start playing him more often.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can get him for 10-2 in the captain spot, but so just to refresh, ADC mid top. That's what you want for your generally?
ADC mid and jungler.
Mid and jungler, right.
The only time that I'm going to play a top is when I think that two of the biggest favorites on the slate are going to be the highest scoring teams.
Gotcha. Makes a ton of sense. Anyone are you going to be having much exposure to DMO, or is it mostly going to be EDG tonight?
So I'm only running out about 10 lineups right now in the larger tournaments. So I will probably not have exposure to DMO. It's going to be a less popular option, but they'll probably be
well, they were in the first place lineup the other night, so people are going to be
more heavily
on that.
owned than the other underdogs, I think.
And again, it's the first game of the slate, or one of the first two games of the slate. There's two games that start at 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern, so could drive it up a little bit. For me, I do like EDG. I think I'll have a ton of EDG. I like getting in early as well, like having some. That's the title of my sex tape, but have a little late hammer. But when you just get off to a good start, there's something that feels good about that you get 300 points from two players, and you're or
the momentum.
It just feels right, and it's an early heavy favorite in a game they should dominate.
Yeah. So if I'm thinking to myself, what's the most likely outcome for this? I think that EDG will win 2-0. I think that's the most likely outcome.
Right.
Even if Dominus wins a game, because of what I was saying before about how they need to scale, there's two ways to do that. You could either play very aggressive in the early game to try to get a jump start on your advantage, or you can play super slow and it's like basically in basketball how you take the air out of the ball, or if you ground and pound in the NFL.
Right.
And I don't think that DMO is good enough to do that. Like, they don't have the lineup that can run the ball down your throat for 20 minutes and then start fighting around objectives.
Right.
So I'm afraid of DMO in that for that reason.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. I'm right there with you. So let's go to our next game, Genji versus SB. This is another one of my favorites. I like Genji a lot. I think their price is lower. It's a favorite with lower pricing. Now, they're an LCK team, right? This is an LCK game. So it's, of course, by nature, as it seems so far, they're lower scoring than the LPL games, right? LPL just seems to have more scoring. But if you're doing something where, like for me right now, when I look at it, if you're playing a heavy favorite like EDG, or later we'll get to it, T1 or eSports, whatever, later on, you can get some salary savings with this Genji, and I think everything I look at, I like so far.
Sure. So with Genji, Rascal, Clid, BDD, Ruler, and their support, they switch up sometimes, but life normally starts. Genji is a very good team. They just lost to T1, but I was looking at Twitter, and even a lot of people who we're watching the games, we're saying, wow, I can't believe that Genji was able to defend this certain position or do this or do that. And it's because they're one of the best teams in the league, which is why they were favored against T1 to begin with.
Right.
So going into any of their matches, I just assume that they're going to win. And then it's a question of how much are they going to win by. So for a team like Genji, if they're not going to 2-0, then, you know, I'm not sure how interested we should be. With that being said, I think that they will 2-0. So you will want exposure to them.
Yeah, they just played on the 5th of March, and Genji beat them 2-0 on the 5th of March.
So what was the fantasy points for that?
Well, I'm on Sandbox right now. Sandbox got 15, but let me go up to that. Let me switch teams here. I was looking at Sandbox to see if I could talk myself into playing a heavy underdog, but I don't think I can play these guys.
Yeah, I don't.
I just don't think I
it's
can.
worth it.
I mean, if you're making 150 lineups or whatever the max is, why it doesn't
then
hurt
I would
to.
want exposure to it.
Yeah, but you know, if you're like me right now, I just haven't played this game enough where I'm doing that. I'm winning. I'm happy with what I'm doing. It's cool.
Yeah.
But let's see. So Genji.
Yeah, I just looked it up. So they did score a decent amount of points against Sandbox last time, and that was when Sandbox was using a different roster. So the thing that would make the only thing that could really convince me to play them is that I think they're going to 2-0, and I'm going to wait for that graph to come out later. I'm going to see if he's going to post that again, because if it shows that Sandbox Gaming gives up a lot of points in their losses, it means that they're constantly fighting for objectives and giving over kills, which that's what we want. So
Gotcha.
That's the only way that I could get there. And then in terms of who my favorite players would be, I think it's just basic, like
ruler,
80
Clid.
carry.
Yeah.
Yeah, 80 carry is the most important.
And you can get ruler for 11-1 as a captain.
Sure.
I think that's pretty reasonable. Now, I know it's not an LPL game. I'll probably will want an LPL AD carry in my captain spot if I can get there. But, you know, he's got games where he put up, what did he do last time against SB? He put up 110.92 in that last game against SB. So that would be 165, 170 points in your captain spot, and that could win you some money. So I think he's a strong captain candidate, ruler.
Yeah, and then the last thing that I was going to say is just looking at the scoring relative to everybody else, Genji is one of the biggest favorites on the slate, but they're priced as the 5th or 6th highest.
Right. Genji is really standing out for me right now.
Yeah, so with Genji, I think that if you believe they're going to 2-0, but you don't know if it's going to be an extremely high-scoring match, one thing to do is look at their support, top laner, and the team slot, because you're not taking away the upside of having like the highest scoring 80 carry on the slate from a different matchup, but you get some salary savings. And
perfect.
I think that the difference between supports is going to be lower than 80 carries, because if you look at last night, like somebody like Kramer from World Elite, he had 10 kills in the first match, or Kramer from LGD had 10 kills in the first match.
Yeah,
right.
Didn't
he's the 80 carry.
He had something like 90 some points, right, at support.
Yeah. And in the first match, he had like 40 points in one game.
Oh my God.
And the way that it happens is sometimes in the game you have these kills that happen where not everyone on the team gets an assist, and that limits the upside of that stack.
Right.
So there is some reason to like go out there and take 2 players from a team or 3 players from a team instead of all 4, just because there are kills that happen that don't give points to the entire team.
Right.
And the winning lineup last night had a situation like that, where they didn't have only 2 teams in their stack; they had 3 different teams.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
They took that super value on the support as well, 3,800. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think he replaced. We talked about the guy who got sick or whatever, right?
Yeah.
He got corona'd right out of there. Son of a bitch. So SB, if we're just playing in a contrarian world, any reason you'd want to play any of them at any, like, you don't want their 80 carry, you don't want them at captain.
So I know that the support for Sandbox Gaming, Gorilla, he was on the Rocks Tigers when they were the best team in Korea. So he's a very good player. He's a very smart player. That's actually one reason why I'd be concerned with playing against Sandbox, is because if they wanted to play intelligently and like slow the game down. I think that they have the ability to do it because of somebody like Gorilla.
Gotcha.
So if and at the same time, if they win, I think it could be methodical where they're not like the other underdogs who need to like just start getting kills and snowball.
Gotcha.
They can actually play the game.
Gotcha. So
And then the last thing I'd watch out for is who's going to start in top lane, and jungle, because Lonely and Summit's considered one of the best top laners in Korea, but Lonely's been playing recently, so I think that they have higher upside when Summit's in the game. And then Punch versus On Fleek. On Fleek, I think, is the better jungler as well.
gotcha. Yeah,
So
I'm actually
that's what I
surprised
wanna
by
see.
Sandbox Gaming's team price. They're 6,000 in the team part. That seems like a lot for an underdog, right?
I think you're in captain right now.
Oh,
they're
that's what I
4,000.
am. That's it. That's
Yeah,
it. I
yeah.
was like, dude, what the hell's going on? There we go, 4,000. That makes a whole lot more sense.
Yeah,
I'm getting old, dude.
you scared me there for a second.
My bad. Yeah. It happens. All right. At least I don't smell burnt toast, so I think we're good. All right. Anything else on Genji Sandbox?
No, I think it's a pretty straightforward matchup.
Yep. Next, Invictus Gaming versus V5.
Yep. So I love these teams.
Yes. And you have an interesting take on them. You were telling them before the video, because when I look at it, it's Invictus Gaming. Just stack them up. They're going to wipe the floor with V5. I don't want any V5 because V5 just seems to lose in their last 10 matches, they've won one game, right?
Yeah.
We looked at. But you had an interesting take that makes a lot of sense. So,
Yeah. So I think the best way to think of V5 is that they are the Washington Wizards. So if you play basketball DFS, the Wizards go out there and they score 130 or 140 points a night. They often lose because they are bad, but they score points, and that's all that we care about for Draftkings. So you can go to a team like V5 and get a value player. The big problem is that in League of Legends, even if you have the capacity to be the Washington Wizards and score 140 points a night, when you lose bad.
right.
So these guys are getting blown out often. But Invictus Gaming is the type of team who constantly fights and is playing a lot of the skirmish style matchup that Victory 5. So if you take the old boxing adage where it's like styles make fights, I think that Invictus Gaming versus Victory 5 is going to be very fun to watch, because the Shy, the top laner for Invictus Gaming, doesn't care who he's playing against. He's going to be aggressive,
Right.
And go crazy.
Right. He's one top liner that you can put in the captain spot. Right.
I think so.
The savings is crazy. You're saving 1,500 over the 80 carry puff.
Yeah. So that's actually something that we've talked about in the past with Blue Side and with carry top laners. So carry top laners, in order for them to be able to perform at the highest level, it really comes down to who they draft as their champion. Like two of the most popular champions in League of Legends right now for top laners are Ornn, which is a tank. Like he's not going to get as many kills as somebody like Aatrox.
Gotcha.
And like Aatrox is a champion who there are players in China who have had 10 kills in one game. So that's like a 80 carry level performance.
Right.
But in order for that to be the highest scoring thing on a slate, we're going to need 2 carry performances out of a top laner. And against Victory 5, the Shy can definitely have 2 high kill performances and then also get the 2-game bonus.
Right.
So I think obviously most people are going to look at this and want Invictus Gaming on their team.
Right.
I'm
one of them.
Yeah.
I want them.
Yeah. Can you hear me out? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Okay. So if we're looking at the players who you want to pick from their team, obviously Rookie and Puff, and then I'm not sure which jungler they're starting.
They're starting Leon, yeah.
Yeah. So Leon, I was talking about this in one of my other videos. The playstyle that Invictus Gaming has with Leon is a little slower and low kill intensive because of the champions that they're picking again.
Right.
So there are champions in League of Legends where they just hit the ground running, and like 2 or 3 minutes into the game, they're hyperactive and they can do stuff on the map. But Leon likes playing things like Kiana, and Kiana takes some time to get into the flow of the game, and somebody like Silas takes time to get into the flow of the game.
Right.
So that does concern me a little bit with Leon. And I think I think that for most teams, you want to have the jungler included in your stack. Invictus Gaming is actually a team where I think that you could avoid it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's good to know. That's good to know because does feel like this pressure to, have your support with the AD carry or the jungler with the top AD carry. So
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Yeah, I think I love the Shy. Southwind's so expensive at support, but he can score, right? Like that's
Yes, and like I was saying earlier with Life from Genji, when you have a support or a top laner or a team, you want it to come from a game that they 2-0 because
Right.
that extra bonus is a huge chunk of points for them.
Gotcha.
So if you look at it, like an average score for a support and a win is probably between 20 to 30 points,
Right.
and the bonus is 20 points.
Right.
So getting that bonus is it's gonna be a larger percentage of their final score than other teams.
Gotcha.
But before we move on,
Yeah, let's go to V5 for sure.
yeah, V5. I did this the last time that they played, and I'm going to do it every single time that they play until it wins me $50,000. CLX is listed as a support. He is their starting mid laner. So you could do a 4-2-1 stack that includes CLX, and if they miraculously win 1 or 2 games against Invictus Gaming or keep 2 games close, CLX you're paying 3,400, and he has the upside of scoring 100 points.
So that's an amazing value play.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you could even if you're doing an unconventional stack, you could play him knowing that they're going to lose. But even if they just win 1 game at 3,400, you don't need a lot. You get, you don't need.
Yeah. See, it's a little different than other sports just because, like, in a 6-game slate, there will probably be 2 teams that are extremely high scoring, like yesterday. So we really do want the winning upside from V5.
Sure.
But V5 has shown in their 1-2s that they can get to 70, 80 points for a loss, I think.
Right. So in
I
their last 10 games, we talked about it, they've only won 1 game, right? They've been 0-2'd in every game except for 1. The 1 game on March 18th against LNG where they won 1, CLX had 69.28 points.
Yeah.
You will take that for 3,400, right? I mean, all day long.
Yeah.
That's 20x.
Yeah. There are times where that's not going to be enough, to win.
Sure.
But it could maybe it increases your cash equity, but it decreases your chances of winning first place.
Sure.
So it does depend on what you're trying to accomplish. And then also for cash games, if you're out there playing cash games, I'm not a cash player.
Me neither.
But that might be another interesting thing to look at. Instead of stacking 2 teams and having to incorporate a jungler or a top laner as your captain, maybe you just do something like throw CLX in as your support,
right? And
then you have six players from heavy favorites.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense for cash games. 3,400 seems hard to pass up. Anything else on V5?
Nope.
That's it.
That's it.
Let's move along. GRF and T1 Gaming. So, Griffin and T1.
Yep.
I believe T1's the favorite right now. Am I correct?
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely the favorite.
Yes, I have it in front of me. T1 is minus 3,033.
Oh my God, is that real? Can they do that?
That is real. That is possible. So let me tell you what that means from a percentage perspective. That is 97%.
Holy crap! Well, I gotta play one lineup with Griffin then. I have to.
Yeah.
Because
I think so.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Now,
going into this split, Griffin was expected to be a good team. Griffin has had good splits in the past,
right? And they're the blue side, right? So they're picking first, which is an advantage. You talked about.
Yeah. So blue side is an advantage in general. However, it also comes down to play style and the champion pools that you have. So the reason that I love blue side on the previous patches is because if you had first pick, you were more likely to pick Aphelios, which is an AD carry who's very strong, or Senna, which is another AD carry that's very strong. And both of those champions give very high upside to the team because of the play style that it forces you to play. So Aphelios was nerfed recently, but is still very strong. Senna was nerfed and is not as popular in Korea to begin with. And I don't think Griffin plays that play style.
Right.
So I would not expect Griffin to play Senna. That makes me a little less interested in them. And then with Aphelios, anybody can play Aphelios. So that's really what I'm looking for. If Griffin was playing against a worse team, I'd be more interested because it's more likely for them to just give away a champion that's very good like Aphelios. But I
Right.
think that T1 will probably ban it away.
Yeah. Last time they played, for what it's worth, February 26th, T1 wiped the floor with them 2-0. So
Not surprising.
not surprising. So the usual suspects here for T1. Now, it is tougher. We get this question a lot. Like we have the LPL starting lineups because they release them, but LCK is totally against gambling, right?
Yep.
They don't want, so it's very difficult. Once in a while we get a lineup from someone, but
Yeah, Kenzie will generally give out the lineups right before lock for the first set because it's impossible for you to not know who's playing at that point.
right, exactly.
Like,
But you're not going to know
basically-
the later LCK matches before they start. You're just not going to know.
Yeah, so that is a problem.
Yeah.
So one thing that I wanted to touch on for someone like T1 is that I haven't done much research into this, but I want to look into kill participation and how it impacts the correlation between teammates because T1 is the kind of team in my mind where they're like grouping up a lot, and that increases the chances of multiple players getting an assist for a kill,
Right.
which is very valuable. So like if you look at a game that goes 25 to 30 minutes into the game and they have a big fight around Baron or something like that, you'll often see all 5 kills from the team that wins that fight.
Right.
All 5 of those kills will have 4 assists, which is the maximum amount of points that we can score.
Gotcha.
So I think with T1, since Faker is willing to play that supportive style and let Teddy kind of carry the game, it increases somebody like Faker's chances of getting the 10 assists, and it increases the kill participation that I would expect him to have.
Nice.
So I think those are 2 things to take into consideration. I do like T1. Griffin, I think, is the kind of team that is going to try to struggle and like have a high kill score game. But it really comes down to like, does T1 even care? Like they could kind of just push them off to the side and say, we're doing whatever we want this entire game. We don't care what you're doing.
Right. So the obvious suspects for T1, the 80 carry Teddy put up 96 the last time these teams played. He's been good to me every time I played him. And he's not overly expensive either. 11-7 in the captain spot. So I don't think that's horrible. So there is some salary savings here with the favorite. 7-8 normal price. What's Canna? Canna 7K. Canna's been good, but he's gone up a little bit. I believe he was 62 or 6,300 before the last. Maybe I could find that out. So he's gone up a little bit, but he's been good to me too. Really solid. So I think all those guys are in play. Their support is effort. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Averaging 50 points a game. We'll see what their team price is. One of the most expensive team prices at 6K.
Yeah. So the last thing I'd say before we move on to the next game is if Griffin wins, they just got a new top laner to their team, Untara. And Untara was a top laner in Korea for a relatively long amount of time. So he's a good player. I don't think that it's going to turn them into like a good team in general.
Right.
But it does increase their chances of winning individual games.
Sure. It's a massive contrarian play going with Griffin. But if they do somehow pull out the miracle on ice, if they're Buster Douglas, you're winning. You're taking everything if that happens, you know.
Yeah, Griffin was like I'll say it again. Griffin was good last year. Tarzan's a good player. Untara is a pretty good player. Viper's a good player, and I think Yukal was actually on T1 at one point as well. But he was a backup.
Gotcha.
But if I'm picking players from this team, I would consider Tarzan. I would consider Viper. I would consider Untara.
Nice, like it. Second to last game, RNG at eSports. Everyone's favorite, right? eSports. People love eSports, right? But and I believe they are favored in this game, right? Pretty sound. This one's a closer matchup. These are 2 good teams, right? Am I right about that?
Yes.
When I just start looking at the prices, eSports is way up there in terms of Wink, Cryan, they're very expensive. Even this guy Rat, who hasn't even played, is expensive. Why is he? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're very expensive. RNG is definitely the salary saver here. Is there any hope for RNG? They are on the blue side, right?
Yeah.
So that's an advantage.
RNG is a pretty good team. I mean, so basically the situation that RNG is in, they have a backup AD carry right now. Their AD carry is Betty, and the only reason why Betty is playing is because Uzi is their normal AD carry, and he takes a break in the beginning of every season because he is that good and he can just do whatever the hell he wants. He's one of the most popular people in China.
Gotcha.
And he is the highest paid player in League of Legends, I think, right now.
Oh wow.
And he's a god in China. People absolutely love this guy, and it's because he's a very skilled player. So Betty has big shoes to fill, and there have been matches where Betty performed very well, and he's obviously not as good as Uzi, but he's good enough to score a lot of points in fantasy. So I think that the rest of RNG will be looking to prove themselves against eStar. Xiaohu, their mid laner, is very good. I would definitely want exposure to RNG in this matchup because I think it's going to be a high scoring set altogether.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like this will be a blowout. It seems like both teams really have a chance to win.
Yeah, I could see this being a 2-1 where every single game both teams have 15 kills or more.
Right. So if we're just talking players in this match, I mean this one's pretty easy. We're talking players, of course, Wink, Cryan, right?
Yeah.
Even Xiao Bai is pretty cheap. You can get him 10-8 in the captain spots. 2,100 savings from Wink or Cryan. Wink just puts up huge games sometimes, though. It's like, Jesus, you just want to play him.
Yeah, for like top laners, there aren't many top laners who I just want to jam into a lineup. It's like I want their AD carry or their mid laner, and I need something highly correlated, so I'll throw them in there. But I'm not starting lineups around top laners often.
Right. Gotcha. And then, of course, for RNG, Betty, we talked about it. He's 10-8, an 80 carry. You can get it for 10-8 in an LPL game when they have a chance to win, right?
Exactly. I think I could see Betty being the highest scoring player on the slate.
Wow, I like that.
If they win, it's going to be with a lot of kills, and
right.
Betty's going to benefit from that greatly.
So I think that's if you're making multiple lineups, a good build, that's a nice underdog build that's in the blue side, that has upside, and the salary's down. So it doesn't hurt. It's not going to guarantee, we can't guarantee anyone's going to win, but it's the strategy that pays off. You keep playing with that strategy, you'll eventually win.
With that being said, I don't think that RNG is going to go under-owned. I think that a lot of people are going to pick them. I think that looking at the underdogs for everything on tonight, I think RNG will be the most popular underdog.
Sure.
Because they aren't that much of an underdog.
Right. Right. So. Makes sense. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. All right. Final game. A Freak of Freaks and Damn One Gaming. Right? Am I getting that? I'm starting to remember all the team names, so that's good,
That's it.
This is another one that seems pretty close, right?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure a Freak of Freaks lost last night to APK Prince.
Yes,
that was it wasn't a big upset. Let me take a look. I actually still have the line from last night. Oh, actually, so they were minus 360. So they were supposed to win that set 78% of the time, and they lost.
Right.
I don't know. That it could just be a fluke from last night. So I would say Damn One Gaming, even before that result happened last night, they would be the favorite.
Right.
But because of last night, they're going to be even more popular, and people are going to be skeptical of playing a Freak of Freaks. That makes me want to take a shot on a Freak of Freaks.
Right.
Unfortunately, let me take a look at their previous history. The highest score that I see for their mid laner is 81,
right,
which isn't very good. I also don't think they have high 2-0 equity, which is kind of not great. Like, that's what we're looking for.
Right. Maybe Ghost for DMG for Damwon in this game would be the one guy I would consider. He's got his last couple of games 126 and a 90, and he's only played 3 games. They lost the first one to Jin, and then he's played the last 2, and they went 2-0 the last 2 games that he's been playing. And he's put up he's put up big numbers. So he would be probably in this game if I'm gonna stack anyone if I'm gonna do a DWG stack, I'm starting with Ghost, and you can get him for 10-2 in the captain spot. So I don't think that's a bad place to start.
I think Damwon Gaming is fine. They're not the best team in Korea. They're not much better than a Freak of Freaks. So let's take a look at the line and see what they have to say. Yeah, they're saying it's minus 132 to plus 104. So it's basically a 50-50. I think that most people, when they look at this, they're not going to think of it that way.
Right.
They're going to consider Damwon Gaming as a much bigger favorite.
Right.
So Okay, so just taking a step back and looking at it again,
Mhm.
I think that Damwon Gaming is probably better than 50-50. They're better than 50-50 against the Freak of Freaks. So we're getting value in that sense.
Sure.
But this matchup, relative to all the other matchups on the slate, is not the biggest favorite.
No.
And I think that's why the pricing is this way.
Right. Yeah, the pricing's low. It doesn't seem like the most exciting game, but yeah, I think either way, I think having, especially making multiple lineups, trying to give yourself exposure all over, across the map here. For me personally, I might have a lineup where I do a DWG stack just so I can get Ghost in that captain spot because he seems to have the highest upside in this game of any player in this particular game. So I'm going to focus on the upside of the one player and then build around that and hope it works out.
Damwon Gaming will probably be the fourth or the fifth or sixth, probably the sixth or seventh most popular team on the slate.
Perfect.
Maybe even less.
That works for me.
Maybe they're even less. Maybe they're one of the most contrarian teams on the slate because if you look at the other favorites, we have EDG, who's very popular, Genji, who's very popular, IG, very popular, T1, very popular, and then eStar and RNG are both considered better teams than Damwon Gaming. So I would expect all of those teams to carry higher ownership than Damwon Gaming.
Right. Yeah, I'm starting to like Damwon Gaming a little more. I thought we were going to breeze past this game and I was going to be like, screw this game, screw a Freak of Freaks. Now I'm liking Damwon Gaming.
Yeah, so it is so the argument for Damwon Gaming is last night a Freak of Freaks lost and they gave up a lot of points to APK Prince, and APK Prince was on the winning lineup. Two of their players were on the winning lineup last night.
Right.
So this might just give Damwon Gaming enough upside to be the highest scoring team on the slate.
Yeah, and if you stack their, 80 carry, their jungler, their mid, so you've got Ghost, Canyon, and Showmaker, you still have 65-50 a player and you haven't picked a team or a support yet. So it really lets you pay up for your other stack. It allows you to pay up. You can pay up for one of the favorites. I could probably do
Genji
or IG, and really here, let me go to Genji and do a stack right here and see if we can build that lineup. Yeah, I mean, it's just boom, it's no problem. Can play their support is life starting at support.
Most
so
likely.
you can do a 4-3 stack with Genji, who's a big favorite. You can and you still have 1,000 salary left over. And I have Ghost, Canyon, and Showmaker. So I have the 3 DWGs, and then I have Rascal, Ruler, Life, and Genji as a team. And I have 1,000 salary left over. I think that's a very viable lineup. Plus, with the salary left over, I think that's solid.
Yeah, so. I think Genji. So I do think that an LCK stack is going to win a tournament very soon, just because, like, Variance says that it's going to happen.
Sure.
Like, I know that people want China to be the higher scoring region, and it probably has been over the length of a season. But we're not saying who's going to score the most points for the rest of the season. We're saying who's going to score the most points tonight.
Right.
And tonight we have a few games that could be higher scoring for Korean teams. Like T1, I think, is another team.
Yep.
Where they could be Griffin with Griffin resisting and be a high kill score team. And even if they're not the highest kill score team, and this is why I mentioned it before, is if their kill participation across their team is very high, then they're going to perform as if they had 20 kills, even if they had 15 kills, just because everyone's highly correlated together.
Right.
That's another potential option. So if they 2-0 and they have games where they're very correlated, they can be a top scoring stack without having the most kills on the slate.
Sure. Makes a ton of sense. That's every game. Is there anything else you want to touch on the slate before we get the hell out of here?
Well, who's your favorite and favorite underdog?
I think my favorite underdog is RNG. I think that's everyone's favorite underdog. And my favorite right now is Genji. It's real close between them and IG and T1. Like, I'm going to have multiple lineups tonight because I like all those favorites, and I'm just going to try to get different with the underdogs. Maybe DMO. DMO might be someone I consider in that first game.
This might be a situation where EDG gets overlooked. I think so. I know that it's difficult projecting like the psychology of a team going into a match, But teams that are not used to winning, once they get a win, they're feeling good.
Right.
And they feel like they can take on anybody. So Dominus is probably going to go into this matchup thinking, we played really well the other day. We can go toe-to-toe with some of these teams. Let's really try to push ourselves against EDG and see if we can get another upset. That makes me feel like it'll be a more high kill score game
Sure.
for EDG.
Sure.
Because DMO is not going to want to go back to their losing ways. So they're going to fight over all these objectives.
And there's I'm
liking EDG more and more.
Yeah, EDG, and there's a big upside there. Their 80 carry Hope, he can put up huge numbers. So, yeah. He is expensive. He's 12-3 of all the EDG. You put him at captain, it's 12-3. You're going to have to get cute. So,
yep.
What about you? Is that your favorite? So EDG for you?
Yeah, I think it's important to make a distinction between what favorite do I think is the most likely to win and which favorite
scores the most fantasy points.
Most likely to score the most points.
Sure.
So, like I said during this video, and one thing to consider moving forward is we want the 80 carry or the mid laner from the team, doesn't matter favorite or underdog, who has the most kills, because the 80 carry and the mid laner are going to have a high percentage of those kills specifically.
Right.
However, we want top laners and supports and teams that are getting 2-0s. 2-0 is, I think, more important for top laners, supports, and teams than it is for mids and 80 carries.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
So just maybe take that into consideration when you're building lineups tonight, is if there is a heavy favorite that is priced inappropriately, somebody like Genji, maybe I can do something like take their top support and team and then throw in some more expensive players from a more high kill score game, like as their 80 carry, mid laner, and top. Because I think as time goes on, we're going to see more unique lineups, more unique roster constructions from these professionals, because once you introduce something like my sheet, where you can just do a bunch of stacks, it's very simple for people to get access to all these stacks. The smart money is going to start pivoting away from 3-4 and 4-3, but they're not going to do that until they have a high equity pivot.
Right.
And I think once these projection systems get a little bit smarter, once everybody starts to realize like how players are scoring points, that's what they're going to transition to. They're going to learn where they should be picking the different positions from.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's it for us. Again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Really appreciate that. Don't forget to check out Mike's show at League of Items. We did a quick little one yesterday as well when we went over the sheet. We might do that again today. Are we doing that again today?
Yeah. So I think today on my channel, we're going to do a quick review of the sheet for the LPL, since we already have all this information from your show. And then I think we should also do the LEC slate for tomorrow, because I've already been getting some people asking about what I think about tomorrow. So we should probably do both of those things. And I think LCS is tomorrow as well. So maybe we just have like
it's like a 2-gamer. You're talking about the 2-gamer. That's okay. Yeah.
Playoffs.
Yeah. Gotcha. So yeah, sounds good. So we'll see you later over there. Follow us on Twitter at DFS Bachelor, at League of Items. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe. Cheers to you all. May the fantasy gods be with you tonight. I really appreciate you all being here. Love you guys. We'll see you later on Mike's channel, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, I believe, for this tomorrow as well, whatever the schedule says.
Killing it.
All right.
Push that out, Joe.
Yeah. All right. Take it easy, everyone.